Are you in some shipping container of some sort?
Yeah, I'm being shipped back to the U.S. right now.
I was thinking that maybe this is your way of coming across the border.
Yeah, no, from having to smuggle over to Arizona to get ready for the Worlds to, fake that I am a ROAR driver, so I can race.
Yeah, you know, when I go to California, I'm getting me a Mexican flag just to wave for you.
Yeah, good. I appreciate it. We don't get much representation. This is a very light-skinned hobby. So.
Oh my gosh. You know what? You're more and more like JQ every day. With that said, we have a lot. We are going to talk about the World's Warmup, but before we do that, we're going to drop that intro as soon as I find it, because we got, now he's calling himself the Spleenor.
Spleenor, yeah. Davey Bada gave me this name, my fellow bean. So.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I think that your mentor and your evil Sith Lord, JQ, would be so proud of you right now.
Oh, I'm glad.
So
he's number one,
Yeah, definitely number one. Definitely. All right, let's drop that intro and let's get to chatting.
Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. Get ready for some serious bench racing. But be warned, we speak our minds, express our thoughts, and sometimes things can get a little rowdy.
Hate, and he just was influenced by the hate coming from the left, the hate coming from the right.
And let's get back to more club racing and less of this grabbing racing.
It's hard not to be arrogant when you're always right.
See what I mean? That's exactly why people call you arrogant, Max.
You may not agree with everything we say, but it's definitely worth a listen.
And our pick, can you stop whatever you're doing?
Join your host, Leslie the Great, with co-hosts and guests as they get together to chat RC.
Hey, after that race that I watched this morning, I have to talk about it.
Here we go. $100 right here, $100 throw. Oh no! I like this.
Yes, indeed. Nitro's the glory. E-buggy pays the bills. But on this podcast, 10 skill builds the skills. Welcome to episode number 238 of the No Name RC podcast. I'm your host, Keno White, aka Lefty the Great. To my virtual left is Mexico's favorite racer, Matty Gonzalez. Welcome, Matty. How you doing?
Good. Just coming back from the Warmup Buggy Challenge / official World's Warmup. Yeah,
that's why you're here. We're going to talk about it. I know we planned this a few weeks ago. We have 0 notes, so it's just like we're going to talk about it and have a good time, and talk about you going to the hospital again and all of that good stuff. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you to some people, and they are the NNRC squad. Without you guys, we can't do this. Thank you for all the support. I've been looking forward to seeing a bunch of you guys here at the Nationals this weekend. I leave tomorrow. Well, it's Monday now. We're recording this, but I leave tomorrow morning. So if I see you at the Nationals, come up, say your name. If I don't know you, if we chatted on Facebook, come up, shake my hand, tell me your name and where we met, and let's have a chat. Oh, and thank you to you guys for the support around the world. Also, thank you to the NNRC patrons and YouTube members. You guys help keep these bills paid and help, make life a little easier and better here. If you wish to support the podcast, you can. We have links for that in the written description. Also, we can't do this without companies. Obviously, you see them all over our overlay here. If you guys can, we have we have links, coupon codes, affiliate links, all that stuff in the written description of this podcast. Or if we don't have it, coupon code, just go tell them that you found all this stuff or you heard about this on the No Name RC podcast. It helps us out a lot. Remember, showing the sponsor some love, shows the podcast some love. They are Invisible Speed, High Tech RC, Sun Pedal USA, Sidewinder Fuel, Hot Race Tires, Mayako, Beach RC, Techno RC, Clinic RC, Ignite Design RC. They actually have a sale on the 31st. You can save some money. Racecraft USA. Shout out to my boy Dany Paz at WRCE, Connie Swenson at House of RC, and shout out to our drivers, David Runafalk, Jared Tebow, Robert Badier, Alexander Herberg. And I guess we're going to put you on a team now. I was a 10 scale driver. So, I dubbed the Matty G NNRC driver. There we go. I knighted you as an NNRC driver. What do you know like English do?
Perfect.
So you're now known as Sir Spleenor. But thank you to all those companies. Remember, check out the links for all of that in the written description of this podcast. It helps us out, and we appreciate it. Some quick shout outs. Friday, I want to say shout out to my boy BJ Williams, who's helping us out with the notes, helped us out with these notes. RC Racer, regular submitter, loves RC, recovering from knee surgery. He has a GoFund set up for me. We have a link for that in the written description. Also, for the Stu Trotter, who passed away a couple of weeks ago, and his family, we have a GoFund for them. And, and we're going to keep with some sad news. I found out that him and I became good friends. His name was Jeff Berlin. I met him at Port St. Lucie at Dean's I think it was called Dean's All Out back then too, because he has now All Out in Orlando. But I found out that he passed away yesterday. I believe he had a heart attack, unfortunately. Very nice man. We became friends. I remember going up to Port St. Lucie and meeting him and Mitch Zach and Phil and these guys. I think Phil or Pete. Phil or Pete. I keep getting the name. I think it's Phil. Phil's the younger, Pete is the dad. And he was just a good dude. And it's unfortunate that he passed away. He was a very funny guy. He mentored a lot of young guys. He loved RC. And unfortunately, he's going from us now a little bit too soon. So our condolences to his family. There is a GoFund for that as well. I will put that in the written description. And you will be missed, Jeff, man. Our condolences to the family and to the Florida RC community. He actually was living in Arizona when this passed. He hadn't been doing some RC for a while. So our condolences to that. Another RC person going, like it seems like every week now. It's crazy.
Something new.
Yep. All right. So real quick, we have a couple of birthdays to shout out to. I had all this listed here, but I want to say shout out to my boy George Tsakis from RC Racer. offroadrcracer.com. He sent me this stuff. He sent me the hats. His birthday, he went 52. I would have never thought he was 52. He looks good. So happy birthday to him. I saw some other birthdays. We said a special happy birthday to Bartholomew Baker last week with his RC son Matt.
Barry.
We're going to talk about that because there was no Dakota fan at this race.
Yeah.
But I wanted to shout out. I had a few more birthdays. Shout out to my boy Eddie Fikes. He just went, what the same age, known Eddie for many, many years. Uncle Eddie's season is working for somebody who's making these cool bikes. I like those bikes. I need to get myself one. So shout out to him. Shout out to my boy Corey Humphreys. He celebrated his birthday. Chase Chandler. Just going through some names here. Okay. So we had a few birthdays. We have some birthdays coming up. If I missed your birthday, I apologize. If you wish me to say happy birthday to somebody and I don't see it, shoot me a message. Shout out to James Keaton, his birthday too. I haven't talked to him for a while. He must be busy up there working at the rock track up there in Tennessee. All right. Also, check out Dog Days Auction. They have a lot of top RC drivers paraphernalia. It's all framed. It's signed by them. And they're doing some auction. I believe they stopped. It was the 27th, so probably over. But I hope they raised a lot of money for the Ronald McDonald charity. Also, the DDRC guys over in the UK, they have similar auction with some bodies from Alexander Habrek. A Lewis Hamilton signed body as well. Yes. Yes. And that's for the RC Visions. And that's to promote and help with disability access for disabled racers at tracks. So check that out. Place some bids, win something, and help a good cause. It all goes around. What goes around comes around. So let's help those people make some money. All right. So we do have a guest this weekend. It's actually Mark Calandra. Okay. I met Mark back in 2021 at the ROAR Nationals at LCRC. He's from CRC. Him and his brother Frank, they do the CRC 12 scale stuff. They also have I did not know this, but I mean, it makes sense. It's called CRC carpet, right? So they have the CRC carpet. They have their track up there as well, up there in Rome, New York. They have the Enats coming up in July.
Oh, yeah.
So I had Mark on there. We talked about his history, talked about the track, talked about the Enats. Thank you, Mark, for his time and his support because he does listen to the podcast. I greatly appreciate that. And check that out. This is going to be kind of just a, world's warm up, and that We're not going into RC news and all that stuff because, it's kind of a quick podcast. I got to go home. I got to pack. And I dropped 3 podcasts last week.
Yeah,
Did you know?
I was like sitting there in bed, like one of the days, I'm like, damn, Keenan is like spitting this shit out. And there's no tomorrow.
2 3-hour podcasts and then an hour and a half Spanish podcast.
See?
I think the Spanish one was good. I must have issues because I enjoy talking about RC in Spanish too.
I can barely speak English as it is, so.
I mean, I think your Spanish is like sí y por favor and pollo, tacos.
I think Sorchi speaks more Spanish than I do. He tells me all the time he does. I'm
surprised that Captain Kayosho has not messaged me to brag about the Dyad twins, the Raymond twins. He has not messaged me, which is unlike him.
He was on a fishing trip like this weekend. That might be why.
Right. Maybe he's just going full. We had the Kayosho Masters. That should probably be his goal. To go to France.
I told him he's big cute. I don't know how many times I have to. Anytime Lutz does good, I have to hear about how great the Kyosho car is. And I'm like, Mike, Lutz.
You know what? You just reminded me. I can't forget his body that I have for him. I have it in my.
Yet, so hopefully he doesn't watch this yet. But
oh yeah, but I have it. It's in my bag. I don't know who to give it to, but I'll give it to somebody at the Nationals. But Mike Sorchi, Captain Kayosho, dude, he was like, I told you, look at y'all. I said, dude, he was fast. He was very fast. Yeah. Very fast. He said, he said, don't call it a comeback. We never left. And I remember you said, who the F is we? I really laughed when I saw that comment.
Yeah, I'm like, what's this we shit, Mike?
He loves it. What I don't get is why he didn't ask y'all for the body when he pitted with him all DNC.
I don't know. Like, he was talking about, it's like, it would be so sick if I had, like one of those guys' bodies. And I was like, you know what? Like, it was good that you were at that race like that weekend, so I could ask you about it instead of, having to try to track down a body from Yao.
Yeah, he was good about it, and he sent it to me, and I told him to sign it. Kayosho's #1 fan.
It is. He is Kayosho's #1 fan.
Him and my buddy Francis, who lives on her, but he doesn't race anymore. Captain Kayosho is all the way. All right, so we do have you on her, Matty G. It's been some time. The last time he was on her, he was Aiden, who did pretty well this weekend. Probably not as well as he wanted to. He probably should have got a little bit higher place, and I'm thinking he would be a little bit upset with himself for not doing as good as he should because he was in the fight.
It was just hard, like trying to race with the tires that we had to run on, which they weren't bad, but the track had a good amount of grip for the tires that we had to run. It was just hard because it was difficult trying to judge when you were going to put on new tires, how many runs tires were smoked at. It seemed like, a lot of those guys were doing 1-run or 2-run tires. I thought new tires felt the best. It was kind of like touring car from what like Randy and I were talking about. The harder you drove, the hotter the tires got and the more slimy you would feel towards like the end of like your run. So if you decided to like have a good charge at the beginning and your last minute would probably fall off. Whereas I felt like if I just kind of putted around and pushed it at the end with new tires, the fall off wasn't as bad.
Okay. But, all right. Well, we're going to get into all of that. But so those who don't know what we're talking about, this weekend we had I guess this is the official World's Warmup because it is the World's Warmup, right?
So Randy has his one-up buggy challenge, and then he also had it be the official World's like warm-up. So, there was a good amount of guys there from Japan.
There was a lot of European guys there.
Yeah, the Europeans were there in pretty much full force. We were only missing a couple, I felt like, of like the whole group. Like Ungaro, the Hall brothers.
But Ungaro says he's coming.
Yeah, that's what I was told. Ungaro was supposed to come to Desert Classic. I don't know what happened.
I talked to him at this recent race, and he says he's going to the World. He says, I will just use one of Spencer's setups. I was like, okay. That's kind of like Ungaro. So who wasn't there was guys like we didn't see no Lee Martins, no Neil Craigs, no Neil Dorana Falks, none of these guys. I'm sure there'll be other Europeans coming for the main race, but we saw some of the fastest European guys.
Well, is Ronald Falk doing it? Is he doing the
he doesn't know yet. He might do it. He might not. He hasn't. It's a possibility. Yeah. It's a possibility.
What's he going to run?
I think it's not going to be an Associated. It's not going to be a Schumacher. It's not going to be an X-Ray. So
well, I know Jakey had like a prototype car when I was a kid at like West Coast for 4.
Jakey was giving up on 10 scale.
Yeah, I'm like it never came out. I'm like I thought it looked kind of cool.
JQ's gotten 10 scale that time, and you guys were buddy at OCRC, and he was all about Reedy Race. The Reedy Race that year knocked 10 scale right out of his system. Yeah. He had these big delusions of grandeur of, making mains or winning a round of Reedy Race, whatever. Yeah. JQ always has these imagination, he has a very vivid imagination.
Yeah.
But it was this weekend, the track... The race was run on the control tire, which is the AKA clay slicks.
Yeah.
So I guess we should start off there. Tell us a little bit about this tire, because it's.
Let me grab my car. So these tires, compared to what I normally run, which is the J Concept Smoothies, these tires are a lot taller, and they're a little more round. So they make a lot of initial grip, I would say, but the harder you drive them, the more inconsistent it got, I would say. They're really sticky coming out of the bag, and the foams are really soft. So, like the tires were coming off pretty hot after a run.
Really?
Yeah, like we come off and be like, all right, like they're making grip. If they're coming off hot, they got to be making grip to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, it was, I tried running these tires at my local track, like SDRC, with our glued surface with no sauce, and you definitely have to sauce there for the glue stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But with Hobby Action being a little more abrasive and no glue, with just they have a mister-like system, and then they water it like in between rounds. The abrasion, I think, creates the grip that these tires need.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're not running sauce, which it honestly wasn't too bad without tire sauce. Like during practice, 2-wheel was a little sketchy to drive before like a kind of a groove set in. And then after, a good amount of people started like running on the track, like in the mornings, it was a little slick just because the track was cold and no one had ran on it for a couple hours. But you come in, for qualifying, and probably the end day of Friday, the traction was pretty much what we raced on all weekend.
Okay, so you mentioned the tire being taller and the foams being softer. Mm-hmm. So I'd imagine on a track like this with the traction coming up, just makes it a little more sketchy to drive, more edgy, I would say.
I wouldn't say our cars were edgy. It was just like not running sauce. I haven't actually ever ran slicks without sauce, so this was my first time experience like going through that. And they're not edgy. Mm-hmm. They just like if you overdo it, you're spinning out. You have to drive within the comfort zone of the tire. It's like the Slovakia Worlds, I would say. Like if you drive within the zone of what the tire gives you, you're good. Like car setup honestly wasn't drastically different from what I run most of the time. Just like small changes here and there to get like mechanical grip out of the car.
Right, because I was watching, and the track doesn't look hard, but we'll look at the track too. But I definitely saw people making more mistakes than usual at this race, just from the A finals that I watched. Now, quick question. I know they had a stock class there, so was stock allowed to run anything?
So stock was allowed to run any tire and sauce. From what I was told, I don't know if this is true, so don't hold me accountable, anybody who watches this, that the World's track will be ran on 2 weeks prior to the event with people who are not participating at the Worlds.
Oh,
so they're putting a groove in order.
Okay, so are they doing this on purpose to get a groove in there?
Yes. So when we show up the week for the third week of the layout, we're not doing donuts because 2-wheel is the first on the track.
Will they change the track from 2-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive like they did at other races?
Well, from what I was told, I know in December they tested a layout that could be ran both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to change the track for 2-wheel and 4-wheel from what I've been told.
Because all of my European friends, especially Briefcase, my other 10 scale co-host over on the East Coast, on over across the pond in the UK, Will Venables, are they running sauce? Have you heard if they're running sauce?
Yeah, he texted me. I think he said he was going to be down at like SDRC, and I'm like, yeah, they're not running sauce. I know that for sure. Yeah,
that's Briefcase. We need to get him on after the next big 10 scale race in the UK. So, or ES, EOS. What about? So when you're getting these spec tires, what's the handling like? Was it treated like you were to be at the Worlds, like minimum cleaning? You're gonna clean with water, stuff like that.
Yeah. So we were only allowed. They had wash buckets at the tech like area. So they had a whole tech area with boxes with our names on them. We had to go up there and get tires. We had to have a sticker on them at all times. We were allowed any amount of sets that we wanted. I think the Worlds is like that. I've never been to a World, so I'm not sure. We didn't have like a wing tech or like a chassis tech or anything like that.
Are they pre-glued or you have to glue them yourself?
No, you have to glue them there. So at the Worlds, they'll have a room where, people are watching us glue tires and all that stuff.
So you can't modify foams, anything like that?
Yeah. The two-wheel front tire is open. So you can run whatever two-wheel front tire that you want. But rear, you have to run AK slick, and for 4-wheel, it's AK slick front rear.
Okay. All right. So that answers a lot of questions that we've been having from our friends across the pond.
It's not as bad as everyone, I guess, made it seem to be. From when Tom and I went out there on Saturday to club race, like everyone was like, "Oh, they're not going to have any grip. You're going to have to change your car completely." And honestly, it's a lot of over dramaticism, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't think the tires were that bad after I watched it. But I do want to talk about the track. So I want to share a video of this, but we're having issues. It's not with me, it's with the software side of things. So we can't share a video. But I thought the hardest section of this track was those little whoops.
Really?
Because if you went through there, and it looked like I saw you get hammered through there.
Yeah, I know. I got it.
Cavallari and Dustin Evans took you out.
Yeah. So Brock was going through there. He kind of got a little upset, and then I had nowhere to go. And then, Dustin just grabbed a fistful of throttle and just ran me over and didn't really stop.
I think you ran all the way to 10th.
Yeah, I went all the way. Then, Cavallari just kind of finished it off. And with Cavallari, it's whatever. He was in the moment. It's all good. I get it. But with Dustin, him and I talked about it afterward. It's just if I would have done that, I would have been getting yelled at, and I know it.
You would have.
So I get it. I'm new to this modified thing, but I don't like to be raced like that. So,
but I did see. I mean, if there wasn't a lot of traffic under there, it was fairly easy. But then the setup for the diagonal triple or whatever, or triple whatever, that
was the hardest.
Extremely hard.
Yeah. So, with the amount of grip that we had, and the track got a little rutted before then, if you did, I felt like I was going way slower than everybody else through that whole corner, just because I wanted to clear that jump. Because that was that ruined It ruined my first qualifier and my A3 run. So
it ruined Aiden Horn quite a few times too.
Yeah,
he was jumping right into that pipe.
Because you would line up for it, you think you got it right, and your car would get a little loose, and you're like, ugh. And then you'd land in the middle and just be done.
I did see the 2-wheel drive cars whipping so much through there compared to the 4-wheel drive cars. Maybe it was because they couldn't line up properly, or you couldn't get the power on. To go through there?
It was easier to go through that section 2-wheel than 4-wheel.
Okay, so I didn't see things. It did look like it was easier because, man, I think I saw you whip through there. I saw Rivkin and everybody whip through there. Yeah. And I did not see that in the 4-wheel drive too much.
Yeah, but I did see drive, it wasn't I don't know. For me, at least, my 4-wheel wasn't comfortable enough to just kind of go through there smoothly and try to figure out how to get through there.
Okay. It definitely caused people problems. I mean, even Brock lost it there in A3 on 2-wheel drive. So it was that part of the track looked extremely hard. It was So I assume the driver stands right here. You're jumping in front of you, but
So
you're jumping at an angle.
So you're like, sideways over the jump and, trying to make sure that you clear it.
It definitely look hard. If you guys want to see the track, it's on Mod Media. It's on YouTube. You can go check it out. I'm sorry we can't play it. I don't know what's going on. It keeps freezing up stuff here. All right, let's talk about the talent that was there. So, we probably should talk about the talent that wasn't there. No TLR or Dakota Fenn, no Taylor, no Fenn. Yeah. What? I'm shocked.
No Pollard. Yeah, I think it was because a lot of these guys are getting ready like for Nitro Nats.
Okay.
So that makes sense to me at least. Schimmel was there, Thomas Tran was there, and a couple other TLR guys went. Schimmel made the main and 2-wheel, so that's good. Mm-hmm. They could get some feedback from him and see what's going on. Like him and Tom put in a lot of work. So.
Mm-hmm. I was talking to Tom at the Carpet Nats. He's got some really good ideas about off the track ways to be prepared and all that stuff. We had a good chat actually at the Carpet Nats about other things that I wonder if he's doing them with Brennan as well. Well, on Brennan now, and as a guy who's coming from stock to mod himself, what do you think of the progress of Brennan? Because he was
doing good. Brennan's always been a really good wheel. Having Tom part of his program really helps out with like the wrenches and stuff like that, and just getting another good eye on watching Brennan to drive and all that stuff like helps out. It's definitely hard. You go from being on top to at the bottom. You can do the lap times, but you can't hold the consistency and the pace for 5 minutes. It's definitely hard. I don't think Brennan ran stock for as long as I had to. When I say had to, was because I was a contracted stock driver. But he's definitely doing good. It is discouraging once in a while to have the B main result, and but it's not a bad thing. It's just all like learning. I know
it's a process.
Yeah, it's not easy. And honestly, like it seems like Brennan's in good health, so. That's not going to have any issues. But.
Yeah, we'll talk about your health issues later. We're talking about competition there now. You made 2-wheel drive main, didn't make 4-wheel drive main. I was very shocked about that because usually 4-wheel drive is your stronger class.
Yeah.
But very good. I think you qualified 5th overall in 2-wheel drive. 4th. Okay.
Yeah. I almost DQ'd a couple rounds. I was kind of the guy.
I like it. I mean, I'm not going to give you any money if you make the finals, but, we definitely claim you. Yeah. If you make the world's final, you're not getting any money from us because we don't have nothing to give you. But we'll definitely claim you and big you up and talk about you a lot. Let's talk about, so no Fenn. So Fenn's not there, Tater's not there. For me, I still have Fenn going in as the favorite going into the worlds no matter what.
Honestly, Spencer, this whole year as a whole has looked really good. Looked really good.
Looked very good.
With, one second, my mom's calling.
Yeah, his mom's calling, making sure that his spleen's intact.
So he has looked good as a whole this whole year, like pretty much. Dakota came out swinging at Hoosier, super dominant. But like the last few events, like it seems like the Associated
Spencer's got him.
Yeah,
has got him.
Like the Associated Camps will put in a lot of work. Like they come down to SDRC and do a lot of like their testing. So they've been here late nights, like early mornings. Put in a lot of work trying to figure like stuff out to keep up with TLR and the Phenom. So it seems like they're starting to get everything figured out. Spencer's looked good at most of these events this year, I think, as a whole.
Yep. So, I mean, I think we're going to be in for some good racing with those guys. Yeah. And then if a Ronafalk, for some reason, I have a feeling that Ronafalk and Ongaro will do well at this track too. Ongaro has had previous experience on slicks, but he's done Reedy Race and all that stuff. I don't know about, I think Ongaro is just going to be able to do it because he's just that good, right? He's just
good. Yeah. Well, he showed up to the 2-wheel or the world like last time and almost won. So he's just that good.
But I remember Max and I were talking, and he was like, "Do I have any Europeans in my top 3?" And I was like, "No, not at this track." But the only European to make the mains this weekend was Orlowski.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Brock was fast. So like, I mean, I know they have the same car. I know they don't race on this type of surface over in Europe.
Yeah.
But Brock shows that the Schumacher is capable of doing well on this. He's had much more time on this type of surface. But he was I mean, we can't even throw Brock. Brock is in my brain. Like, I think he's a contender.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that you aren't either, but I'm just saying we're looking at different contenders.
Brock was wild. Like, ever since joining Schumacher at the beginning, it was a little bit of a learning process. Mm-hmm. But now it seems like he's gotten the cars like comfortable. That car likes to be driven hard from what it like seems like, and his driving style fits that pretty perfectly.
Yeah, and I see that Mika just missed out on making it, man. He was 11th in 4-wheel drive, and let's see.
Or no, so he made the win in 4-wheel drive, but not in 2-wheel.
He didn't. No, he didn't. It was only 10, right?
Yeah, so he made them in 4-wheel.
Mika?
No.
Mika. You're talking about Mikau.
Yeah, Mika, yeah. So Mika missed out on the 4-wheel main. Him and Jorn showed pretty good speed, like all.
Ty Tessman didn't make the B, didn't make the A either. Oh, wow. Sorry, I'm just going through her. And Mayfield didn't make the B, and Cavallari, they both only made one final. Yeah. Cavallari made it in two-wheel drive, and blah blah blah. Where is Cavallari? No, yeah, he made it. I'm sorry, Mayfield made it in 4-wheel drive. Tessman was in 4-wheel drive. Who is Kuki Kato?
He's from Japan. He's came to Reedy Race a couple times, and he's always done pretty good. And this is probably the fastest I've seen him here on this type of surface. Like, he was.
What type of car does he drive?
So he runs for Associated.
Okay, all right. Good. It's good to see some more Japanese guys coming over and being competitive at this race. So also we had big names like Jorn Newman was there, obviously. Yep. Daniel Kobovic, who was super fast at the Carpet Championships, big 6'9" Viking.
Yeah, I didn't see him main day. I don't know what happened.
He's not like you can miss him.
No, like he's way taller than I am, So I was just.
He's like 2'3". He's like 2.5 of you, dude.
Like he's a big dude, and I didn't see him sitting there on main day, which was weird.
And Coelho not in either of these mains. Got to be disappointed about that.
Yeah, they're staying till Thursday, I think.
Okay, let's be honest. This is the warm up. I'm sure they were testing stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be different when it comes around to the Worlds, but I still think that these warm-ups have an effect, right? They boost some sort of confidence.
Yeah. Well, you're sitting there at the warm-up, and, for those guys to come all the way over here and not make the main, it probably stings a bit. But Bruno's good. He's done this. He's one of the most versatile drivers, I would say, for sure, when it comes to racing. So he'll figure it out. Like they're going to be there till Thursday. They'll have a good amount of time and wheel time on the surface, which is good because it's always difficult when you're driving on something that you don't know, especially like for them always running on grip, or you're extremely like low grip to high grip, and then I would say this was somewhat in the medium, and it's more of a driver's worlds. I would say, like, if you can putt around, push when you need to. That's how it is.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some of the American guys that were like. Let's talk about Mayfield and Cavallari not making. Back in these days, like we go back 2-3 years ago, these guys are always in these mains, right? Yeah. Mayfield running the Associated cars, coming from Yokohama all this time, but the Associated cars are generally better than the Yokohama cars at this point, because I would say Cav on the Schumacher. And I have to say Tessman. Tessman only making one of these mains and was not the number one X-ray guy here this weekend either.
No, it was Chase Lemieux, on-road prodigies, Paul Lemieux's son. Paul was a pretty badass on-road racer back in the day. And Chase is seeming to try to make a name for himself in off-road, which he definitely is doing a good job of doing so.
Yeah, I saw him in Tessman, kind of Tessman hitting him from behind a bit. Yeah. In some of these, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure the Tasmans are also happy that they beat Bruno because I know there's some friction there. I wouldn't say friction, but there's some.
No, but yeah, like Bruno's the top X-ray guy over there. Testman's supposed to be the top X-ray guy here, and that's you got some clashing going on.
Of course, we definitely have some clashing. No, of course not. I love that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, Chase Lemieux out there representing X-ray, made both mains. I think it finished pretty good. Let's see. Let's come up for the triple mains.
Fourth and 2-wheel and fifth and 4-wheel.
Really good stuff. That's good. Good weekend for him, I would say. Good weekend. Let's talk about Aiden Horn. Very fast, but mistakes in his mains would be the reason.
It was just hard. I don't really blame him too much for the mistakes. It's just the track was hard. The conditions were hard. If you had to drive pretty much near perfect to do something cool, because a mistake or bobble out there with the amount of grip that we all had, it was an equalizer. Like if you made a mistake, it showed because you couldn't just magically make up time. And the track, if you overdrove, the track definitely did bite you. But if you drove within the comfort zone and the level that the track gave you, you were doing good.
Okay. So in 4-wheel drive, we had Spencer go 1-1, so he didn't do A3. Aiden Horn had a 3, 2, and a 1. Yep. Brock had a 2, 5, and a 3, so that put him in third. And Evans, the wily old veteran, 5, 8, and that 2. That 2 is what saved him in the end. Yeah. That last 2. And then Chase Lemieux, 5th, with a 4, 3, and a 6. Yep. So that was the A2 that him and Tasman were kind of going at each other. Orlowski, I think Orlowski is a little bit.
He looked fast. Like we club raced on Wednesday, and I got him the second round of qualifying, but he TQ'd overall. But he was there since Tuesday driving, so he had a good amount of time on the track, and his stuff looked good. It's hard. It's definitely not easy. I think with their aggressive driving style from driving on carpet 24/7,
isn't kosher, I would say. It doesn't work over there. Spencer had to do it in 3. He had a 1, a 3, and then the A3 was actually pretty good because him and Brock had a good battle. Yeah, I believe. And then Brock made that mistake on that diagonal triple, and he just cased it, and then he couldn't double the last double, and then that allowed Spencer to go by. So I have to agree. Spencer is on fine form. Spencer's actually on good form in 8 scale too. Yeah, to be honest,
his whole program this year has looked really good. He's been putting in work with 8 scale. It seems like they're figuring stuff out with their car. Great, the dog. But it's been going pretty good.
What type of dog is that?
It is a French bulldog.
Oh, okay. So he's just super excited, or he is super excited. That's all right. He can be a part of the show as well. But they can't swim, so there we go. They sink. Everybody seems to want French bulldogs now.
They're
I think the people that impressed me here, obviously, I am impressed with your 4th place finish in 2-wheel drive. I think even JQ would give you a compliment.
Yeah, thank you.
I would have to say Chase Lemieux, very impressed with him. And Kauki Kato is the 3 people that really impressed me.
Davey Gata made the.
I see that.
Second, he seated second in 4-wheel and finished. He made the main, but I know he struggled. We ran lighter diff oils than we normally do, and we didn't really change them out because we're not really accustomed to changing diff oil that often. So we realized that they burn, and we took our diffs apart, and they were bone dry. So
that's what happens when we're on 10 scale. We know that in the 8 scale.
Yeah, exactly. So I can hear Sorchi already saying, you should have changed your diff oil. So,
you know who else would be saying? Don't be an idiot. Change your diff oils. That's JQ. I look forward to the Worlds, man. I think it's going to be exciting. I know this is a warm up and people are testing. Huh?
Are you coming out?
I want to. It's like the end. It's in September, right?
Yeah, it's like the middle to end of September.
I mean, I do want to. I I'm gonna see if I can get some money to get out there. I'm gonna be pretty busy from July till the end of the year. It looks like.
Yeah.
But man, it's hard not to kind of say that Spencer is still. I have Fend as the favorite, but I mean Spencer's right there at this moment.
I'm like, even with Fend not coming to this race, he's been to this track. He drives on this surface. I'm sure they're going to go out there to do some sort of testing. He's going to be fine. So
I believe so too.
It just it's kind of a bummer to see, like, he wasn't there, so we didn't get to see, if the pace was any better. Like Brock was definitely pushing the pace a little bit more than I think the Associated guys were. I think Brock's hot lap was 17.5 in two-wheel, and Spencer and the majority of the AE guys, including myself, are doing 17.7s.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about some of the stuff that people were doing to get their cars to work. Did we see any upside down shocks?
No. It was talked about for sure, but it's too bumpy. Okay. And with the upside down shock stuff, you need the track to be smooth.
Okay.
And not a lot of big jumps. And there were bumps and big jumps. So through the whoops, it wouldn't have been very good, or before the big triple.
And what about, I know you were saying that I think X-Ray was trying a whole bunch of stuff of chassis.
Yeah,
and
like I saw that they were cutting chassis. I think I know what they were doing, but I don't want to get in trouble. But I have an idea of what was going on, but it seems like whatever Chase Lemieux was doing, they just need to either figure out or copy, because in A3, like, at least when he was running behind me, I felt like he had way more grip than I did. Like, came onto the straightaway, and we kind of got tangled up because he just pinned it, and I was just like trying to get on the gas.
Right.
So his stuff was good. I think he might have a good base for them to start off to practice with this whole week and kind of go from there.
Okay, so it sounds like everybody's kind of staying there for the week then.
Yeah.
Is it just X-Ray guys?
Are staying there for the week. That kid from Japan is staying for the month. Jared Met from Australia was there for the past month, and now he's coming down here. And then we're going to hit a couple of races like while he's here for the rest of his time. And then trying to think who else was. I think the Schumacher guys are staying till today.
Okay.
And maybe Kovacic can show up for another day.
Kovac's a big dude. You don't want to piss him off.
He is. I don't know what happened. If I wish I knew. Maybe he got sick, and that sucks.
Maybe he got sick.
I'm sorry to hear. But I didn't see him on May Day.
Hey, what happened to Matty G? Kovacic got a hold of him. You got sick.
I did.
Again.
So, with the after effects of not having a spleen, your immune system is compromised completely. Tom and I went to bed on Monday night, and we slept with the AC on. And and with the AZ dry heat and the dry air inside the room, it gave me a sinus infection, and I had a fever on and off all day, which is a symptom of what they said would happen. They said is if I start feeling sick, I immediately need to go to the ER. Tom went to the track. I didn't want to bug him too much, so my mom told me what medicine I should probably take. So I went, got some meds, figured all that stuff out. And then after that, I slept for the majority of the day. Before Tom came back to the room, I asked him, I'm like, hey, do you mind taking me to the ER? He said, sure. I got dressed, showered up from sleeping in bed all day. Went to the ER. They gave me a shot of penicillin and something else that I can't remember. But I felt 100% normal in a couple hours.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
So they say I needed some sort of antibiotic to fight off whatever infection may come up because my body can't fight it without, the spleen. Which I thought that they were just, kind of giving me a precautionary thing, but it was actually, pretty legit.
Well, I think spleens are important. We try to keep them in our bodies.
I didn't know that, you could lose a spleen or what a spleen was.
Well, we all know why why splenectomy was needed for you, as JQ had the definition of it.
Race stock for too long. That had my dad like cracking up.
I'm sure that guy's an idiot. He made me laugh so much with that. All right. So anything else you want to share, or anything that went on while we was there, or while you was there, anything you noticed that you might be preparing for going into the Worlds in a few months?
For anyone who's coming, the facility's awesome. The area is cool. There's a Starbucks right up the street. There's multiple food places that you can walk to. There's a hotel that's literally up the street in walking distance to the track. It's the Sonesta Inn. So if you're planning on going, it's a pretty good spot to go, and the rooms are pretty cheap. The tire game, it's all dependent on what you feel with your car and how it's set up. It's not the same for everybody. I know Brock was putting a run on his tires before each run, from what I saw. A lot of those guys, Spencer, Aiden, Dustin, were all putting a run on their tires. I like new tires. It is not cheap, and I might not be able to pay my rent, but it was worth it. But it was definitely, if you're coming, just know that, if you're not running on slicks in the U.S., it is a different driving style from what you might be used to.
Yeah, but I also believe that the cream always rises to the top.
Yeah, the fast guys will figure it out, and that's how it always goes.
Okay, what are you planning on doing to prepare for this? Are you gonna be going there any time between now and the Worlds?
We're gonna go out there in July when they do their next track build. So we're gonna go out the week after, or something like after they put a groove on it and go run. I want to go run my 4-wheel some more. I want to try some different springs on my 2-wheel. And kind of go from there. I know that those guys ran a little bit of different set of stuff than I did. I'm going to see if they will be willing to tell me what they ran, so I can try to be on the same page and figure out what's going on.
Cool. So I guess I want to ask you, who should we look out for in the next World, in this World's coming up? Who do you think is going to surprise people besides yourself? Who do you think we have to look out for after watching this?
Honestly, I think Davey might do something pretty cool in 4-wheel.
Okay.
Like he led every qualifier for the first 3 laps in 4-wheel. And then we had the discussion about the diff oil thing. I think there was enough oil in there where it was fine for a couple laps, and then as soon as it heated up, it was all bad. So I think Bada might do something cool in 4-wheel. The Europeans are coming. I definitely would not count them out even after a weekend like this. The extra guys, as Martin told me when I asked him how everything was going, nothing in life is easy. So they're definitely going to sit there and figure it out. The Schumacher guys will be good. I'm sure Kovac will figure it out. I'm sure there was William. I can't remember his last name. He was there. He was in the C main at 2-wheel and the
let's see,
C main at 4-wheel. I can't remember. He runs for Schumacher.
Okay.
I'm sure all these guys will sit. I wouldn't count Cavallari out either. I'm sure he's going to be putting in work, trying to figure out some 4-wheel stuff. And seemed like everybody this weekend was working really good as a team, trying to figure everything out.
Okay. Well, let William Amara. I think that's what you're talking about.
No.
Okay.
So he's a local.
Well, there's no other Williams there, buddy.
No. I can't
Maybe you got the name wrong.
I probably did.
All right. Because we have to show him some love, and we're all about Stalker as well. Tell us a little bit about that. Levi and Chase had good weekends.
Yep. Yeah. Jake is pretty much the guy in stock there. It's just like OCRC.
Who's Jake? Is that Jackie right here?
Jake, yeah, Jake there, yeah.
Okay.
So he's pretty hard to beat there. He super consistent, super fast.
Hold on. Who is Prince of Darkness?
Ryan Prince.
Oh, right. I like that.
Yeah, that's my brother. That's my brother in color.
Yes, I saw him turn marshal. I think I met him at DNC.
Yeah,
I think.
No, he's super nice guy. Yeah,
very nice.
He was in Silver State. I don't know if you. I don't think.
No, I didn't go to Silver State. I think I saw him at DNC. Might have. I don't know. Can't remember.
Yeah, he's good. He's one of their like locals that's super fast all the time. Willie Smith was up there in 2-wheel. He's super fast. But yeah, the Jake pretty much dominated. The twins, I think Levi won both A2s, and then Jake just kind of figured everything out for A3s. So the twins did good for them coming out of town.
How old are they now?
They're 12.
Okay, still plenty of time. Same age as Little Bump.
Yeah,
same age as Little Bump.
Yeah, they're good. For them running stock competitively at the level that they do, like they beat me at home once in a while, so they're pretty good.
Okay, will we see? Do they have an entry list yet for the Worlds out yet?
No.
Okay, so we still
I don't
don't
think
know.
that they're coming. I don't think they're coming to the Worlds because it's like the first. It's during school, and they're not the best scholars. So
that's still not the best scholars, so they need to go to school. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, so they need to go to school.
Well, I think everybody should go to school because RC is not guaranteed to nobody. So stay in school, people. Get your GED.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad you came on to talk a little bit about this. You gave us some inside information because I didn't really watch much of it this week. I kind of chilled out, but I did watch it this morning before we recorded. There was some good racing with some back and forth, lots of mistakes. So it's going to be interesting to see we get, like, I keep going back to Angara Runafolk, right? And then maybe a Neil Craig if he comes. And these
he always
guys
makes the main no matter what. It seems like Neil's always up there. So,
and then I'm sure people like Coelho are going to go in, put their heads on, Orlowski, Cavallari as well. What about Mayfield? Do you think Mayfield's going to be there competitively?
It seems like they figured some stuff out after the end of after racing. They changed some stuff on his car. He seemed to be pretty comfortable again. It's just he doesn't run very much like 10 scale like anymore. Like with Techno being his main, source of income, I would guess. He puts in a lot of work like with them, trying to get their stuff like dialed in. It obviously works because he's one truggy, Brufalo's one buggy. So the Techno stuff is definitely on the rise with the help of Mayfield. So it's good to see that, a local like company that I ran for, like when I was a kid.
Are you trying to get a sponsorship from Techno right now?
No, I'm just saying that like they're doing good.
I know. They are. Well, we talked about this in the last podcast. I was happy that Brufalo won. If you would have told me that Brufalo would have won that race, I would have said no way. But he did, and he did a very good job of it.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing this madman come back over to America and race as well. All the Europeans are talking about probably going to AMS later on this year for 8 scale.
Yeah. That would be cool to watch, like for sure.
And then some of them are then talking about doing the carpet championships afterwards because I think it's AMS and carpet championships.
I think me and the little people are going to be going to carpet.
You mean your dyad, your little Padawans?
The little
dyad in the force.
One of these days they're going to be taller than me, and I can't talk shit. So
there you go. It'd be like you talking shit to Kopovic.
Exactly. I'm not talking shit to him. I'm just saying I didn't see him on main day.
All right.
I don't know why.
All right. So then he grabs you like this, and he's like 6'8". It's pure Viking stock.
I wasn't
from Norway.
I was just wondering where he was.
And you're the Aztec warrior, and he's like pure Viking stock. You better be ready. I'm only joking. You know what? I appreciate you coming on. We are gonna go to the interview with Mark Calandra, and then I'm gonna come back with you for our conclusion. How's that sound?
Yep, sounds good to me.
All right. Joining me in the virtual studio this week is a man probably who needs no introduction. He's been a RC stalwart in the Northeast community for quite a long time, him and his brother. I think I had the privilege of meeting your brother at the 2021 Nationals, correct?
That was me.
That was okay. So I met you. Sorry, it's been a while. I meet a lot of people. I apologize, but we got to talk in there. I remember, and we always said we're going to get you on the podcast. I'm glad you reached out to me because I didn't even know that you guys had the Enats coming up. So I thought that when you reached out to me, I thought it'd be perfect to get you on here, tell your story. And we can talk about the Enats that are coming up. So joining me is Mark Calandra of CRC Hobbies, CRC the car manufacturers, CRC the carpet, and CRC also the indoor track and outdoor track up there in Rome, New York. Welcome to the NNRC.
Thank you, Lefty. Thanks for having me today.
It looks like it's a nice day up there in New York. I guess it's springtime for you guys.
Yeah, it's a decent day. Thank you for having me on the show today. Yeah, up here in the Northeast, it's a much different weather pattern than you're used to down there. We had frost on the windows a week ago, and we had to put all the plants inside so they didn't die. So it's about 70 here right now, or right around there, and we're looking for mid 80s at the end of the week, which will be just delightful for us. We don't get that kind of weather. Everybody thinks. Yeah, go ahead.
It's like in the 90s here in humid. it's getting hot here. It's just gonna get hotter from here on out. But I did experience some nice weather like that. I would love for 75s, to be honest. But all good, man. I know this kicks off you guys' season, as it is you do live in a northern region where it snows and whatnot like that. So I know outdoor season for you guys starts to kick off. I see. I was watching. There's a racing going on. There's LCRC had racing. I know Barnes-Wilmers is having racing. So it's good to see the Northeast guys get back into racing. As I've gotten to know more people from the Northeast, I realize how much of it's a pretty big community with a very rich history as well. So it's good. I think you're one of my first guests from the Northeast on her. So always good to have somebody out there. But I always want to start with, how did this start for you? Because it's you and your brother, right, that got started in this. I did some research. You guys got started back in the 80s, like a lot of normal people be. One person got a Tamiya, and I think you guys went to motocross. But maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the quick history about it, I won't make a long story long for you, but my brother actually had a Tamiya Rough Rider like in 1979, and then he got out of RC. Him and his buddy were playing around in a parking lot and that type of thing, and then he basically got out of RC because the only local hobby store was across the country, the Ranch Pit Shop in California. There was nothing locally at all. I mean, there was no RC scene. So he got out of it, and we were racing motocross bikes quite heavily. Every single weekend, in and out for years. I started riding when I was 3.5. I started racing when I was 5, and I did it all the way. I even still do it once in a while now. But I did it very extensively. My brother did it very extensively. And then we got hurt a couple of times, and one of the times when we got hurt, I had saved up my pennies and bought a Tamiya Grasshopper, and he put it together for me because I was just a little kid. He put it together for me, and that kind of started the ball rolling again back with RC. And then racing dirt bikes, you get hurt a little more, and it starts going, well, these don't hurt as much. We start going more over to RC and less over to motocross a little bit. And we realized that we could start doing this, found a local hobby shop that was fairly close to us. He wasn't really even a hobby shop yet. He had a track behind his house. And then as that went on, we became friends. I ended up working there as a kid. And that place is our current place. We actually bought it. Yeah, it's our current place. We bought that place. Actually, not from him. It ended up changing hands once before it went to us. But we got that place.
Interesting.
And then we started the manufacturing side and so on and so forth.
All right. So I would assume we're talking about in the 80s when you was doing the motocross. When did it start transitioning to become a little bit more serious and you started did you start traveling for racing and stuff like that? Was you a part of the 90s side of racing when, 10 scale was booming and all of that?
So even though I'm only 48 years old, I'm not that old. I'm a dinosaur in the RC industry. I really am. My brother is too. As an example, we've been racing RC. I've been racing RC since like 1983 or 1984.
Oh, wow.
And not just a little. I mean, I've been racing RC pretty much week in and week out since then. I've been going to, and you've had Scotty Ernst on here, Scotty's U.S. Indoor Championship race in the Cleveland, Ohio. Mm-hmm. I've been going to that race every single year since 1986. I've never missed a year. I've never missed a year.
That's impressive.
ever. And my brother's the same way. He's never really missed a year. So that's 36 years consecutively of going to a race. I'm 48 years old. I've been going to a race for 36 years.
Yeah, you've been racing a long time.
I've been racing a long time. I've seen every trend that we've had in RC so far. In my time, I've raced nitro on road. I've raced road, everything. So I'm a dinosaur in this game.
Okay, so in these times, what was the classes that you was most focused on? Was it 10 scale at this time? I would assume, because that was the boom in the 80s and 90s.
Actually, ourselves personally, because we're so much based upon on-road, of course, it was 12 scale and oval, 12 scale and 10 scale oval as well. But then me and Frank were very much big into 10 scale and 8 scale nitro on-road racing. And we got very, very good at that. Ran for Serpent, ran for a company called Neo, traveled all over the place, but went to the Worlds. I went to the Cincinnati 8 scale and 10 scale worlds. My brother went to the worlds many times. I think he finished as high as 6th in the world. I made the top 25 at the 10 scale worlds. We've been involved with nitro on-road racing for a long period of time as well. We don't do that too much anymore just because there's no place to do it. But so we did a lot of on-road. And we dabbled in off-road locally, club racing and stuff like that, and go to regionals. And Frank did some nationals and stuff like that. I wasn't huge into off-road when I was a kid.
Okay, so was you a part of the banked oval, concrete oval, asphalt oval that we saw like in the 90s that I used to see on the cover of magazines and stuff like that?
Yep. I did that then as well. Yeah, Whippoorwill, and there was actually
you
a
was
local.
telling me about Whippoorwill. You was the one telling me about that. I've heard that before.
There was a local track here in this area that actually paved their bank track and had a big paved bank oval with asphalt.
Yeah, that was huge at one point. I always heard guys mention about King's RC in North Carolina and that banked oval and how. Like I used to listen to Jason Rona's podcast with Jagati and all them guys, and they commented like he was a oval specialist. So you heard him talk about it. And my buddy used to tell me about it because he lived in North Carolina. Like paved oval was huge at one point. Like with there's two brothers, the Daryl and I can't remember the other one's name, but I remember seeing them in the magazines all the time. And it was big. Yeah,
it was very big. Yep. So. And not only that, I was not. My brother was super into RC. I'm 11 years younger than my brother, so there's a pretty big age gap between us. So I was, chasing girls, and I was also racing race go-karts and motocross bikes, and I was doing a bunch of other things as well as RC when I was younger as well. And Frank had committed a little bit more to just RC. Okay. And I was doing kind of more of the other things that were outside.
Being normal. He was being a normal
being normal. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So I know that you guys have your own brand of, I believe it's 12 scale on-road cars. If I'm wrong, if you do other scales as well. And I asked you before this, did the CRC carpet come from you guys? So I guess I want to know what came first there. Did you guys start designing your cars before you had the hobby shop? Or how did that come about where you guys started designing your own chassis and make CRC the car company?
So back in 1993, my brother opened CRC Manufacturing. I graduated high school in 94, and in 1996, I opened CRC Raceway, they were two separate things, two separate locations. My brother started with a small amount of products. We were making brushes for motors, brushed motors and stands for motor stands to hold fans and, some small trinket parts more or less. And then, and we were also very big into 12 scale. And then shortly thereafter, he started designing with another person by the name of Bruce Carbone. Him and Bruce started designing a 12 scale car together. And we started driving that. Partnerships are better left for dancing than business, and him and Bruce had split. And then Frank started doing the design part of the car on his own, and I was doing the raceway side. Sooner or later, that became melded into one thing. Frank moved his facility into the facility that I was at, and that kind of became one thing at some point in time. So in 1993, CRC manufacturing started. 1996, CRC Raceway started. In like 2005, we moved into the facility we're in now.
Okay. And just for my knowledge, this was carpet indoor racing at this point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. All right. So how you still have the CRC manufacturing and the car company that we have. I know 12 scale is not as big as it used to be. I talk to Hagbar quite a lot. He tells me he has his ideas about how he can make it better and make it bigger. But what do you think has happened to that side of RC to make that side that was once very popular shrink so much?
I don't know if I've seen it. I've heard Alex talk about that, but CRC has probably sold more 12 scale cars this year than it ever has in its existence.
Really?
So I haven't seen that type of withdrawal that they're talking about. Although, I do think that we gotta maintain some legitimacy over the class and keep it relevant and so on. I see some of the bigger races going down, but some of the club racing come up. Although RC seems to be doing very well right now, in my opinion. I know some other people don't agree, but in our segment, we're doing pretty well. I'm not seeing exactly what Alex is seeing. So
okay. Well, I would say maybe onwards. Are we looking at that 10 scale and 8 scale, like you said? Onward on that side of things has probably dropped a lot. I know 8, like especially nitro racing, 10 scale nitro sedan and whatnot. It's a shame because that was such a huge class, but I think that came down to less parking lot tracks and stuff like that. That was the big thing that got touring car going and all that stuff. If you talk to people, maybe we see that. Maybe go back to that a little bit to bring back that that aspect of things. I don't know. But another thing you guys are famous for, excuse me, is the carpet. So it's like you guys have this special racing carpet that people around the world use. How did that happen?
Well, I'm going to go back to one quick thing, and then I'll go to that.
Okay.
We actually have to do a better job with advertising, because one thing that I'm surprised you haven't mentioned, and obviously you must not know, CRC is a manufacturer with the 12 scale car. We won the 2014 IFMAR World Championships with our
congratulations! I did not know that.
With Mark Reinhardt driving the car.
Oh, really?
Our car is a World Championship winning car.
Well, congratulations! I did not know that. We need to have that right on your Facebook so people know.
I believe it is.
Where was that, by the way?
I believe it's on our website. I don't know if it's on our it was in Florida.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
Reinhardt's been around for a minute.
Oh yeah.
He's been around for some time. Okay, well, congratulations. I did not know that. So you are IFMAR world champion, and that's not a lot of people can say that.
Nope. No, you got to think we're a small American company with not a huge amount of dollars to go investing into big EDM machines and all kinds of machining stuff. And, we beat the best in the world. And I got to say that I'm proud of that. I know my brother's very proud of that. That's not an easy thing to do. I mean, you go against X-Ray and all these big companies that have a lot of engineering dollars. And it's hard to go against them. And we do it week in and week out, and we do it pretty well. So,
yeah, I mean, like X-Ray manufactures most of that stuff in-house too. Like that, it's very hard to compete with that and the amount of money that they have in automatics throws at this as well. But you've been around a long time, so obviously the proof is in the pudding on what you guys are producing. Because I mean, to have a small brand like that that's still kind of run by two brothers in this day and age is extremely hard.
It is. And, I agreed. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not, but I'm sure X-Ray has its own challenges with a big company.
Yes,
so
I'm sure. I'm sure. Okay, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us. 2014, Mark Reinhardt. I still think, man, he looks so young, but he's been around for so long, so long.
He has.
All right. So let's talk about this carpet, because we always hear about people saying CRC carpet, and we got to get this. And how did that come about? How did that develop? And are you seeing? I'm a big proponent of semi-permanent tracks happening, like it is over in the UK and all that stuff. And I think for many tracks here, or local tracks in America, to survive, they're going to have to go to that type of business model. Maybe it's in a school hall, maybe it's, because we're seeing a lot of tracks. We just heard about Thunder Road, that's closing on. That's a carpet track. We see certain things with writing on the wall of other tracks that are permanent, that require, sustainable. I mean, you are a permanent track as well, but I think you guys seem to be healthy up there. How did this carpet come about?
A number of years ago, and we've been doing carpet for forever. A number of years ago, basically, the place that you could get carpet was this little factory in Connecticut, and you'd call them up, and there wasn't a supplier like a CRC where you can call up and get carpet. People were going to Home Depot or Lowe's and picking up whatever they could, and then this one company, they didn't make race carpet. They made something called Ozite, and I'm sure you've heard Ozite. And it was just this one company out of Connecticut that was making this product. Well, they basically stopped making the same thing that they were making. In the process, my brother had the intuition to reach out to a carpet manufacturer and get an exclusive contract and start building a race carpet, something that we could use as a race carpet, something that had very low fuzz, had good grip, and it was something that we could use. And that developed over a number of years, and we came out with a product. Our first product was, it's called the Fast Track carpet, and then it went to the Fast Track 2 carpet. And basically it's evolved a little bit over time, but it hasn't changed all that much. There has been a couple of iterations of it, but by and large, it's been pretty much the same over the years. And that was just simply seeing a need in a market that nobody was producing, and reaching out and working with another manufacturer to make it.
How many iterations did you go through before you said, okay, or how long did it take before you said, okay, this is what we're looking for?
Know that we had many samples before we came up with what there was. I would say there was probably 15 or 20 different samples that came through before we settled on something that was usable.
Okay, so would you say that most of the tracks that I see now, they're running that type of carpet? Are they getting it from you? Have they outsourced it somewhere else, or how does that work?
They almost all get it through us.
Okay,
we ship carpet every day.
Really?
Pretty much every day.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I didn't, I remember I was like, man, CRC carpet has got to be the same thing. I would have never thought that would be a legitimate business, but I guess as we're seeing, especially now, I believe carpet's just on the uptick. Like we're going to see more and more of it. It's just easier. It's just easier. Yeah. It's better. I think it's the way we get new people into this as well. And like I said, I think we have to see the semi-permanent tracks come up. And that's kind of like how it was in the UK. You rolled out that AstroTurf or whatever. We used turf at one track. You built a portable stand. Everybody, you had some fire hoses with some sand in them, and you had a different track layout. You had little lightweight jumps, and it's perfect. Like people want a different track all the time. You can have a different track every time you go to a race. We did it. It took an hour to set up and 30 minutes to pull back on. It was perfect. That's awesome, man. So you guys pretty much have the monopoly on the carpet scene around the world.
Well, there's ETS is out there. There's a couple other companies that are making carpet, and there's always somebody looking to do what we're doing as well. But by and large, carpet's not an easy product. I know it sounds like it would be easy, but for one, we're a little fish in a big pond. When you're working with a company that does the type of manufacturing, the amount of stuff that we're doing is peanuts compared to the amount of stuff that they're doing. So production schedules and all of that stuff is very, very, very difficult, and keeping it consistent. Unlike the stuff that you put in your house, You don't know from one day to the next if it's different. If somebody else got a different role with the race carpet, it's got to be the same when it goes to Cleveland or when it goes to Snowbirds. It's got to be the same because these guys are relying on it to be the same, and that is not an easy task. I give my brother a lot of credit for that because that's his project, his baby. He's done the most with the carpet stuff, and that's been a headache. It's been very difficult.
I think that's pretty much of anything in RC because we're ordering such small amounts. So we always like these manufacturers always slip something in that they know doesn't work properly or something, you got the bad batch, but let's give it to them because they can't do nothing about it, right? We're not threatened by them. I think RC manufacturing suffers from that in all aspects. So I could definitely understand how it would be with carpet and such a small market. I think realistically the public believes that RC is this big spending money thing, but in the eyes of the manufacturer, it is peanuts, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the current CRC hobbies that you have now. So you have an indoor track. I was looking, you have a pretty big actual facility. So when did that transform? Did you buy it like that? Was it that facility that it is now with off-road track and the shop and all that stuff?
Well, the track was the facility that you see online. Actually, at one point in time, was an RC place. Actually, that's what it originated as.
Right.
Then it got sold, and it became a fitness center.
Oh, really?
So then they tore everything out that we needed. All the stuff that we wanted, they tore it all out. So then shortly thereafter, a number of years later, we ended up purchasing it, and then we had to go basically and rebuild it, which kind of ended up being a good thing. And then last year, unfortunately, we had a very major lipo fire that almost ended the whole thing. Really? I was actually at last year's Enats. I was sitting there at last year's Enats, and I get a text on my phone, the building's on fire.
What?
Yeah. I almost lost the whole business to a lipo fire last year.
Now, have you put any stipulations in charging lipos? Because I know, like in the UK, if you're caught not charging in a lipo bag, you're kicked out.
Everybody be careful. I can't tell you this enough. That battery was just sitting on a table. It was sitting there idle there was nobody around. The business was closed.
Oh, wow.
The business was closed, and we have it on camera, that battery just going up.
How much damage did it cause?
It almost took down the whole building. The building's 100 by 60. 10 more minutes and it takes down the whole building.
Oh man, we saw a big lipo fire at P&B here a few months ago. Like a car flat landed, a guy went on, like he saw smoke. He went to pull the body off, and that thing just went up like a big ball of flame. I've been in. Jake Hume has burnt me down with he had a big lipo fire with just a little small 4S starter box battery that was like a big fireball. And I will say this, that's no joke. I mean, one of my biggest fear, I have all my lipos in like lipo sacks here in the office, and I'm just worried about one day, like when I'm away or one night, they just poof, all go up. So I try to keep them separate from everything. I should get a metal locker to put them in, but they ain't no jokes. We need to. Is there any way to improve the safety? I know you this is a big thing for you guys because you do electric on-road, but is there any way to improve the safety of these lipos?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, one of the ways is, not charging them as hard as you do with like some forms of RC really charge the hell out of them. But realistically, the makeup of the battery is just inherently dangerous. So I don't really think there's any way to make them any more safer than we are right now. Yeah. Safer than we are now. We sell batteries. We sell tons of batteries, not in the hobby store. As a manufacturer, we probably right now have, and I'm patting myself on the back, the most popular 1S pack in the country right now. 1S lipo in the country right now because our 1S pack is really, really good. So we sell tons of batteries, and it's something we wrestle with all the time.
Okay, interesting. Interesting. Well,
especially after having a fire like that.
Oh man, it's sick. I could imagine. That's so scary. I was just talking to a buddy of mine. He's up in RC Madness, and he was telling me about a lipo fire they had this past or a few weeks ago, or maybe just telling me about this, man. We gotta be careful. With that said, I'm gonna really go invest in a metal lock of some sort. All right. So you get this track, you get this building, you rebuild it. You when does the off-road track come about, like the outdoor off-road track?
Pretty much right away. We were actually doing 10 scale, more 10 scale stadium truck than anything else. We just didn't make the track as big initially, but pretty much in 05, shortly after we bought the building, I was out there with a crappy old Bobcat that we used to have, building a track, right after that. It was pretty much right away.
Okay. What's been one of the keys to your longevity? Because you started this when
1996.
Right, but okay, so you bought the building. So 1996, we're talking over 20 years now.
Yeah, we bought the building in 05.
Okay, right. So you've been doing this for quite so long time. What's been one of the keys to your longevity of having a shop and a track?
We have some very loyal customers. We get, if you can look on Live RC, we get some of the best club turnouts in the country, and we have a very, very small area to pull from. The town I live in, everybody thinks New York, right? They're the big city. My town is 30,000 people. I graduated with 41 people in high school.
Really?
My graduating class was 41 people. I live in a little town. Rome is tiny. We're very famous for a lot of things. Rome is a very famous little town for a lot of different things, but it's a little town. And we get 50, 60 cars weekly.
Okay, that's good.
Weekly.
That's very good.
We kill it weekly.
So what do you do? What are your days for club racing there then?
Thursday is our club night. We basically do one night a week.
Okay. And how about the off-road side of things, outdoors? Do you club race that, or is it just weekend races?
No, every Thursday.
Oh, really? Okay, that's good.
Every Thursday night.
So now, does your shop sell everything, or is it just race orientated?
It's primarily race oriented stuff. We do sell basher stuff too, but we don't get into like trains and airplanes and boats and stuff. Right. We have a few boats, but that's about it. By and large, we're a racetrack that has some basher stuff and some crawler stuff. Okay.
Because I believe that you kind of need that stuff as well. It's also a gateway for people to get in to RC. Do you get a lot of like walk-in traffic to your shop that people just come in and buy it, or is it more people that are at the races maybe or online?
One of the things that the fire has taught us is that the hobby store itself has a lot of walk-in non-racer clientele, and we do need to beef up our other things that we don't do normally, because that's one of the things that having the fire, it actually ended up teaching us. When we'd have people, I don't know, sometimes it just gets lost in the shuffle, right? So now the shop isn't there. Somebody knock on the door. Hey, I need something for my Traxxas Slash. Hey, I need something for this Arma car. Hey, I need something for this crawler. And we didn't realize how much that traffic was there. I think it got lost in the day-to-day business of building cars and packaging parts and that stuff. And we realized that is more important to us now than it was before.
Okay. So also I just heard something. So you are doing all the manufacturing and shipping out of this place as well for CRC.
Yeah, we have. If you look, there's an overhead shot of the track. If you had a chance to take a look, and there's two buildings. One's the machine shop, and one's the the race shop and the offices.
Okay, so how many people work there with you guys? Is it just you and your brother, or do you have a staff?
No, there's staff. There's 4 full-time guys guys and girls, and then another 3 or 4 or 5 part-timers.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so now do you keep, now I know this is always hard with hobby shops and stuff. Are you able to maintain and keep that staff there? This particular, or do you go through staff quite a lot? Because I know that the margins ain't that good on this stuff. And people that work in hobby shops or work in these type of environments have to also, I think, be passionate about the hobby.
Yeah, the three full-time people the three full-time people, and I'm not including Frank and myself. The three other full-time people that aren't family members they're full-time, and we don't have any problem keeping them busy. And then the
Okay.
part-timers and I know I say part-timers, but they're more per diem where they kind of come in more or less when we need them. We have trouble keeping those guys and girls full-time during the year, but like in the fall around Halloween, we're buried and we got all of them running pretty crazy. But right now, not so much.
Okay.
Not too much right now.
All right. Well, here's a picture of the track. I would assume this is probably at a club night, or maybe when you had a bigger race. It's nighttime.
That
It is
is
actually a very decent size.
Yeah, that's that's about 200 long by about 100 wide. Is the
Okay.
off-road track. The If you look, there's a little building in front. That's the machine shop type place up in the front, and then there's the big long building with the extension off the back where the driver stand is behind. And basically, the offices are in that extension in the back, and the main on-road track is in the long part that's going right to left.
Okay. Sweet. Nice facility.
Thank you. That race right there is the Rumble in Rome. We call it the Rumble in Rome, and that's been going on for 19 years.
Really? That's
Yes.
awesome. That's awesome.
And
I remember also. Sorry, go ahead.
Last year we did what? 217 entries last year.
Very good, very good. Also, I think you had messaged me. You was thinking about. You had asked me about. I think Zach was talking about the oil mixture for the track and all that stuff. Did you ever play with that?
We played with it. We put it on a couple of spots on the track. We've never done the whole track. We put it on a few spots on the track. It's really neat. One of the things, and I don't know if you can see it from that picture, but we're right next to a marina. So we really got to keep the dust down. Yeah, there's a marina right next to us. There's a bunch of $1 million boats that are parked in the harbor over there, and we really got to keep the dust down because you start putting dust all over their boats, and they get a little upset with us. So
I would imagine,
we have toyed with doing the idea of the oil many times.
Or you could go glue, like at the International Buggy Challenge where I was at just recently, and seal that whole thing. The only thing is, I would assume you guys during the summer it will be all right, but once it gets wet, it kind of washes off with too much rain. So you obviously don't. There's no off-road racing going on there outdoors during the winter because it's snow, right? Okay.
No. Especially where I am, I guess. And again, I said everybody thinks New York City is about 6 hours away from me.
Oh, okay.
Way
so
south.
More north.
I'm way north.
Okay.
Canada is about an hour away from me.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah, I'm up in the North Country. Very much up in there. We get snow. We get a lot of snow. This area averages about 155 inches of snow a year.
I would not know how that feels.
Well, it's about, it's a lot of snow a year.
I would imagine I would be too cold for me. Let's touch on Northeast racing because now you guys seasons are kicking in. It's springtime going on summer. I have gotten to know quite a few people from the Northeast. I know there's like LCRC is still Northeast. We have Barnstormers. Trains and Lanes is also near you guys. I didn't
RC Madness.
talking to people. I didn't realize how much history was in the Northeast racing as well, and I guess you guys are a big part of that because you've been around for so long. How is it? Is it enough to support everybody there? It seems like you got a good crowd. You're also 6 hours from a lot of people, so you're kind of up there away from everybody. But it seems like Barnstormers gets a good turnout. LCRC gets a good turnout. You just told me you got a good turnout as well. So is everybody playing nice, or is it just enough space between everybody for it to be viable for everybody?
It's a little bit of both. Everybody plays nice. Like we deal with Rohan all the time. Rohan has his Big Apple Challenge. We make sure we don't run on top of it. We have our Rumble. He makes sure he doesn't run on top of it. So that works really well. All of us play around pretty nice for the most part. Unfortunately, we have a little discrepancy with LCRC this year. ROAR sets, we gave ROAR a bunch of dates, and the Enats unfortunately falls on top of one of their races. We didn't want to do that. We tried not to. I even tried, because this initially was set up with the old president. We talked about moving it with the new president, and the dates just weren't in the cards. So unfortunately, two people in the Northeast with big tracks were running on top of each other. I wish that wasn't the case, but I don't have any control over that. And it's not Clayton's fault either. I don't blame him a bit. He's got the 10 scale two-wheel Nats like 2 weekends after, or a weekend after our race. No, 2 weekends after our race, I think it is. So it didn't work out to pick another date. We really, really tried. It just didn't work out. So unfortunately, we all normally do play really nice. But unfortunately, this particular time we had to run on top of each other, and that's unfortunate. I mean, one of the first people I called when I was working on the Enats was I called Kevin and tried to make sure I didn't run on top of him, but I don't have a choice. It's out of my hands. So
okay, sometimes those things just happen, right? It's out of your hands, out of your control. It's what ROAR wants. That's their decision. And Clayton, he's trying to fix a lot of things. So
yeah, I gotta say, I've spoke with that guy a lot recently, and he's got a. I hope he sticks around for a long time. I can't imagine the amount of work that guy's doing. He's doing an amazing job, in my opinion. I love the direction that they're going. It makes me want to get involved with ROAR myself, and you know, I see the direction he's going. I see what he's thinking about, and I like what he's doing.
Me too.
It won't all be perfect, but he's doing a much better job than the old regime.
I would 100% agree with that. And what I tell people all the time is he's pretty much starting from scratch, and he's got to rebuild this from scratch. So kudos to Clayton. We got to get him back on her. I got to get Rohan on her too. He's been a lot of people have asked me to get him on her. He's got a very interesting story. So I need to get him on her. All right. So let's talk about
I love that guy. He's awesome.
Yeah. I haven't heard anybody say anything negative about that man.
Yeah, Rohan's he's a great dude. I love Rohan. He will forever be one of my buddies. I always try to go down to his races whenever I can. I go down to some of his smaller races. He's got a good place, and we work well together. He always supports us, and I always try to support him.
I mean, that's what we should be doing, you know. So that's good to see. Good to see. All right, so we also heard to talk about the Enats that you guys have coming up here. What are the dates exactly?
July 20th through the 23rd. So unlike most nationals, the Aurora spoke with me, Clayton spoke with me about maybe trying to cut it down a day to resume travel, some hotel costs. So we actually have promoters days on Thursday instead of Wednesday, which is a little different than previous Nats. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is the 20th through the 23rd.
Okay, that's good because a lot of people, you know, the nationals. Usually the Fuel Nats is like a week-long race. I know it's starting at Thursday here, but usually people get there on a Tuesday and set up on a Wednesday and stuff like that. So it is a long race. So that would help as well. I hope it helps with more people getting there. I know last year it was supposed to be it was at G's, and then the Visions race just happened to be put on top of that, and I think that hurt it. Not the Visions race fault. Not ROAR's fault. It just happens that they had to do it on that date. And it sucked. But I think it really took, because we always heard that, we think that I always heard if we put the Enats up north, excuse me, it will be full. It will be a better race. It'll be more people because there's a big e-buggy population up there. But we have seen, you know, every time we say this, we've seen some Enats, like I think they won in Tampa a few years ago. It was very low turnout. You know, I think it was at Lee Setzer's track. Was it last year? No, the year before G. So it was 2021. Not the biggest turnout going on. It's always, you know, e-buggy is huge in that area and in the southeast and the northeast. And now we see e-truggy is booming. Like, you know, I think at PMB last year had 150 e-truggies show up. You know, and that he doesn't have separate classes for that. So we're in a region where these e-truggy and e-buggies are booming, but I still wonder why we don't get the numbers that are needed, because a lot of people don't understand for you guys as a track to make money off of the entries, you have to reach a certain number, right? And then you start making some money off that. The track has to then they have to get their money from selling pit spot. I saw somebody was complaining about that, about having $200 for a pit spot. But I'm like, dude, this is where the track makes their money. Like selling, I said, I gladly paid $100 for a perfect pit spot at the Nationals in 2021. Didn't have to worry about bringing a chair, table, electricity. It was all there. This is where you guys make your money, through the sponsors, through selling the pit spots, because you don't really make any money off the entrance, and especially when they don't hit that magic number that they're supposed to hit before you can make it. So to me, This is what you guys have to do. How can we get more people that race these e-buggies, getting them to up to these nationals? We have a Worlds coming up. I was just at that track, 2025. We got the e-buggy Worlds coming up. We got the Euro Super World Cup coming up this year in Portugal, not at that track, but a different track. I think the Worlds is going to bring some legitimacy to the class of e-buggy. I know we say we don e-buggy a lot here, but it is the future, and it's what people will get into, and hopefully get into nitro at some point. But I don't see e-truggy or e-buggy going anywhere. I see it getting bigger. I see innovation in it getting better. But yeah, I would love to see an Enats like sellout.
Yeah, me too. I think you touched on a bunch of things, and I'm very opinionated. I have a bunch of opinions on all of those. And one of the things is, and I spoke with Clayton about this, with ROAR and the Nets in particular, like from my local guys, I noticed on my sheets that a bunch of the local guys haven't signed up yet. And I went to them literally this past Thursday and said, hey, what's going on? And they're like, oh, we're not good enough to run the Nets. And then you got to pay, you got to pay a membership that I'm never going to use again. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, both of those things, you are good enough. You're not going to finish last. I guarantee you, you're probably not. I know you. I know how you drive. You're not going to finish last. You are good enough to come test this out. And I understand that you don't want to purchase it. I think that ROAR needs to look at, in my opinion, some sort of day pass where maybe it's $10 mm-hmm. for the day, or the $10 mm-hmm. for the weekend event, or instead of the cost of the membership. I don't know how that works. I know when I go racing motocross right now, when it, like as a 48-year-old old fart, when I go there, I can get a day pass for AMA. For the American Motorcyclists Association, and I can go race on a day pass. Now, if I race enough times, that day pass doesn't make any sense, right? Because it works out to be more than the membership. But if you're going to do 2 races a year, a day pass might make sense. So there's a possibility of that. The whole thing with people saying they're not good enough, I think the intimidation of having the Dakota Fence and the Ryan Mayfields, and they think that, I'm not good enough to be out there with those guys, and I disagree. These guys are all very. I mean, I remember Dakota when he was just a young kid at Tilsonburg with his mom there, and I give her a ton of credit. We were freezing our butt off, and she was out there, and he was just like they are today, and he just practiced and got better. We're all putting our pants on one leg at a time, right? There's nobody that's above. Go out and run with them, and I'm sure they'll show you something. They'll be courteous. All of these guys have been involved with this for a number of years. They're all good people, but I don't know why that seems to be. I'm not good enough to race against these guys. Yes, you are, but for some reason that seems to be the thought. Now I'm slowly talking our guys into signing up. There's 2 of the little things that I think happen at a Nats. Is that people get afraid of it, the prestige of it, maybe a little bit, if you're maybe not as good. So there's 2 of the things, and obviously, unfortunately, when it comes to, we talk about the youth, and you really go on and on about how the youth is the future. I totally agree with you. I can't agree with you more, but I'm 48 with some children, and in order for me to go to a race, I got to keep the wife happy, and that means I'm bringing the kids with me. And every race is, unfortunately, every entry is, $100. And all of a sudden, if I'm buying, $5,000 in RC cars, and I got 2 kids that are both running 2 classes, there's $400. I'm running 2 classes. There's $600. The equipment that goes along with it. Pretty soon we're going to Disneyland, and the wife can go with us. And now she's leaning on me that we're going to Disneyland. We're not going to race RC cars, so we have to, as all the manufacturers and races, I know where we only have certain spots where we can make our money, and I get that more than anybody else, better than anybody else, because it's what I live in every day. But we got to be mindful of and I'm picking on 35-year-old guys with 2 kids, but we got to be mindful of what they're trying to do when they're showing up at a race.
I have no issue with the 40 plus class or 45 plus class or whatever, because the old farts are the ones that have the money and the knowledge as well that they can pass on to people. So definitely, like, they have a 40 plus Euros, and I think that's great. And I think there should probably at some point be a 40 plus or whatever age group worlds. But I would also like to see maybe a youth worlds. Maybe not. Maybe they do both at the same time. So you have the youth there. I don't know how we do it. But yeah, definitely need the old guys.
The problem I see with that, and the thing I've seen at the past 2 Nats, is that for some reason the youth classes don't sell that well, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know either. I also talked to you off screen about this. It's a lot of the e-buggy only or Eve people that I know, people that just exclusively run e-buggy or e-truggy. I think the lack of maybe having a sportsman intermediate pro class also scares them, because I mean they're used to that. And then when you take a nationals, there's nothing like that, right? But there could be, and you don't have to have separate classes or anything. You could just do the qualifying off the, like, take your, I don't know. We've talked about it many times how you can do it, but I think that is probably the intimidative part with people. I get it. Look, to be honest, if you're going to be at this track and it's going to be like Dakota Fan and there's enough entries, you might be in a seeding heat with them. You might be something in the lower heats with them, but I think it works out where you end up racing against the people that are of the same level as you anyway. The only thing you don't get is a trophy for sportsman or intermediate. And I mean, that's just kind of how the nationals are. I mean, the fuel nats are the same way. I think every nationals is the same way. The Euros and everything. Maybe I agree with you a little bit.
I agree with you. I mean, perfect example. I think I'm a perfect example. Last year, I at G's at the Enats last year, I TQ'd the plus 40 class, right? I was the top qualifier in the plus 40 class. There's no way I'm winning the pro class. There's no way I'm making the A. There's probably no way I'm making the B. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll find out this year, because I can run both this year. So this whole worry about the guys in plus 40 running 2 classes, I know that was the Drake rule and probably the JQ rule, but realistically, those guys are kind of a little bit of a different breed. And honestly,
different level.
Not different level. Their time has come. I know from my own experience, from an on-road perspective, because I still make the A's at the indoor champs, even now this year. I made the A in 12 scale at the U.S. Indoor Champs, so I'm still very high level there. Your skills, it's not that your skills, your eyesight, your reflexes, they change over time. And I can tell you, because I've raced RC for a long time, they have. So I just don't see why it's such a big deal. And I don't think it needs to be. And at a Fuel Nats, I can understand it because they sell out. But all these other races, you should pretty much be able to run what you want to run.
I have this argument with JQ. He thinks it's all about commitment and having other priorities. But I'm like, dude, as you get older, as you get 40, it's not, you start going downhill. Like, it's not, it depends how rapidly you go downhill, how you take care of yourself. And I'm like, yeah, your eyes start going, like, stuff that you used to be able to see, your depth perception, especially on these big tracks.
How old is JQ?
He just went 40. He just
when he passes 45, he's like 46, 48. Have him give me a call, because your eyesight changes a lot after your eyesight. There's stuff that I felt fine when I was 42. I was still racing motocross and do all this stuff, and I still do that. But I'm telling you, he'll feel it. Have him give me a call in about 6 to 8 years. We'll have a talk about it.
I agree with you. I mean, look at I'll use Mayfield as an example. He has a nighttime body now. Or he has a body like with these big tracks that he has to use so he can see it. And we was talking about this on the podcast, and I say, yeah, Mayfield has the skills and he still has the commitment to do this. But the one thing he can't do, which Dakota Fan has, is he has youth, right. And as you grow older and all this type of stuff, things start, like your eyesight, you got to wear glasses, you got to do this. I mean, you can only fix it for so long. And then it comes to a point where it's like, all right, it's making it harder to do this for a living. That's why we don't see many pro drivers winning things in their 40s, I would say,
right.
Like to a big level. So, all right. So tell us a little bit about anything special. Tell us about the Enats, pit spaces. Who's going to build you guys in a complete rebuild? Who's going to build the track? What can people expect? Maybe hotel information that people may need, or if anybody is interested in coming, who they can contact.
Well, obviously, contact, or you could contact CRC right there on the website, or we have all of the numbers and everything like that, and all of the emails. They're all on ROAR. They're all on our Facebook page. They're all on the. We have both a CRC Raceway website, which is www.crcraceway.com, and www.teamcrc.com, which is the manufacturing side. Feel free to reach out to me on Facebook. You can hit me up personally. The Enats has kind of been my own personal little pet project. Mm-hmm. So pit spots, I know that came up on. It's funny that you touched on that. That came up on the whole. I can't believe how much you're charging. We're actually not. Pitting, if you bring your own table and your own chair and your own easy up, is completely free. It doesn't cost you a penny. If you want premium, and when I say premium, indoor with a big screen next to you that's got live RC on it, air conditioned, with a table and a chair and power and all the amenities, bathroom right there, indoor air conditioned pit spot. Yeah, that's $200 for the week. Indoor air conditioned pit spot with a big screen right there with live RC on it. So yeah, that is true. That is an expensive pit spot. But there's guys that are coming from, California and this and that. They want to be comfortable. That makes sense. That makes sense for them. Under the big top, under an outdoor tent, $100, table, chair, power, everything. That's pretty standard fare. I think that's roughly
it's standard.
Yeah, that's pretty standard fare. It's not like, and then camper. I think camper spot is for the week. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's $200 for the week. Plug in your camper. We got plug-in spots, 12 plug-in spots that you can use. Most of them are, not all of them. A lot of them are sold out already, but there are still some available. And then any other spot on the ground, if you got a camper and you're using your own generator and stuff like that, doesn't cost you anything. So we're not.
And are you guys going to have like the banquet and dinner as well?
I don't think we're going to do the dinner. I think we're working on right now doing something on Thursday night. What that something is just yet. It might be a band with like a cornhole tournament or something like that on Thursday night after practice. Practice ends at 8 on Thursday, and from 8 to 11, we might do something there. I'm in the works of doing that. That's one of many things that are on the table. I believe I have some food trucks coming that day, and gonna maybe do a cornhole tournament with a band there.
Okay, awesome. I hope that people do sign up, and I want to see this race grow. I want to see it grow for many reasons, because, well, I think that e-buggy and these are the future for getting new people in, but also so we continue to have these, because I know how hard it is to make money off of this, and a lot of people will just say, oh, they got 150 entries at $100 or whatever the price is. I'm like, yeah, but the track makes nothing off that. Like, to be honest, I know I've read the rules, how you have to make money and all that type of stuff. And I mean, we have an e-buggy Worlds coming up, like, for the first time. And how do you feel about that? Like, I'm excited about that. I think we've needed it for some time. E-buggy has shown that it's here. It's not going anywhere. We're going to have one at this beautiful facility that is Barcelos. I really think it's going to be really great for this genre of the industry.
I agree. I think that e-buggy has needed its own worlds for a while. It hasn't been as popular enough to really justify it. I see where they were coming from that way, but I think it is now, and I think it definitely, the time has come to do that. And us being the first ever Worlds qualifier for that is in the United States. I'm proud of that as well. Just happened to be lucky that way. But I think that we've needed an E-Worlds for a while. But like I said, the justification wasn't there. And hopefully it's there now. I'd love to see that sell out too. I hope it does. I hope every race sells out. I like to see people race in RC. There's just a good thing. Good things happen when you race RC.
RC is awesome, man. I've met some of the best people I know in RC, and people that will do anything for you. It's really an amazing. I think because it's so small and the whole big terms, and when you find that person that is into RC, you always have that connection. Hey, remember this or remember that, and whatnot. But I implore people to go to the Enats. It's in July. It's up there. I'm sure it's going to be a little warm as well. It's summertime. If you want that AC pit, you pay that $20. I know I would pay $20 for AC pit for the week. I really want it to be successful because Enats needs to be as successful as the fuel nets, I would say. And because this is a very important part of our hobby, our sport. It's what most people are going to see and start with, and e-truggy is just great. It's just great. I mean, I want to e-truggy. Like, I want to go to a race, and I don't want to race anything but an e-truggy right now. And I love nitro. Don't get me wrong, but I want to race e-truggy because it looks like fun. But I also wanted to get your thoughts before we close up on her. You've been around this industry for quite some time. You've seen a lot of things come and go. What are your thoughts on the industry or the hobby or the sport at the moment?
The industry, it's a tough industry. It's a really hard industry to make a living in. And especially if you're a hobby store, I don't know how you do it without having some other form of income, at least in the United States. I don't know how you do it without having some other form of income, some rental properties or something to supplement the bad times. Because, there's ebbs and flows in all businesses. And I think that a lot of these places, if you look around the country, Eric Anderson's place down in Tennessee, he supplements his hobby store with his manufacturing and maybe some of the other projects he's got. We supplement ours with some of the other things that we do, carpet and manufacturing and then the hobby store. And I don't, RC Madness that you talked about earlier is another perfect example. That guy races everything. When I say he races everything, I love Chris Marcy. I've known him since I was a little kid. The guy's an animal. And why I say that is literally he'll be running 10th scale off-road on the carpet indoors on the track over here on the right. And on the left-hand side, he's running 12th scale on-road on the track on the left, right? And he's announcing both. He's got two screens. And he turns this way and he announces, and then he turns this way and he announces. And he's doing them both at the same time on the same day. Now that's commitment. Impressive. That's commitment right there. Yeah. The guy's an animal, and he's got an asphalt track. He's got an 8-scale off-road track. He does crawlers. That's the only way I see that if you solely do a hobby shop that also is a racetrack, you have to supplement it that way. That's a lot of hard work. It's a real lot of hard work building tracks, and I give Chris a lot of credit. He's been in the game for a lot of years, and I give Chris Marcy a heck of a lot of credit. He really does a bang-up job and keeps it going well.
Yeah, I would agree. RC Madness has been around for so long. I remember reading about it in the magazines. I had a buddy from Bermuda, Maceo. He used to go to school in Connecticut, and he used to go there. So he would come home. He would tell us all the story. This is magazine days. So there's no internet. This is like 1995, 96. So he'll tell us all the stories about him being up there and what he was doing and whatnot. So it's really cool. I think like everybody, we all want to see this part of the industry grow, the racing side. And I think collectively as an industry on this side, we all need to put some thought and effort into it somehow. Like we need to go into it together. And I hope we do that. But obviously we can't do these type of things without people like you who earn tracks. Like people will never know how hard a track is until they earn one. And you will never know how hard it is to work in this industry till you work in it, and it looks all like unicorns and cupcakes and everything else, but it's non-stop. It is non-stop. Yeah. It's a work of, like, you have to really be passionate about RC and what you're doing to be around for such a long time and to continue doing it, because it isn't about the money. Yes, you can make a little bit of money and you can do it, but it's more about the passion to probably progress our hobby and do something that you love. It is.
And, you can ask Kevin Muma from LCRC. You can ask myself. You can ask Chris Marcy. You go to do an 8-scale track change, and Kevin does them a lot. There's a lot of work in an 8-scale track change. 12-scale track change is pretty easy. You pick up the boards, you put down the boards. You put them down in a different direction. That's pretty easy. Oval, that's really easy, right? Indoor off-road can be very difficult on, indoor off-road carpet. You're building jumps, and still easier than doing dirt, but not a ton easier. And that's just one of many things. So now you get customers who come in, oh, we want a new track. And it's like, man, I got to take a whole week. It takes a week, roughly. It doesn't take a week, but it gobbles up the better part of a week to do it and do it well.
And money.
And it's diesel fuel and paying guys to be out there with shovels and rakes, and it's a lot of work. It's a real lot of work. And it's a dedication. Definitely, it's a dedication to the industry to do it. I hope that more tracks will pop up. I do worry, and I've spoke to you about this. This was years ago, and even now, I don't know how the industry sustains itself with the current business model of the industry. I just don't know how. I don't think this business model retains itself forever. There's going to be a shift, and I think there is. It has already started to happen. I just don't know exactly where we land. Where we land on our feet with this, because you can't have places that aren't, like big tracks like ours. We got 2 tracks and a big building and employees. You can't have people selling stuff out of the back door, out of the back of their truck or something like that, and undercutting that place. You need all the support you can from all the racers you can. We're in a little area, right? We got 30,000 people, but we get really good turnouts, 50, 60 cars a week. Most of the country in the United States is not getting 50 or 60 cars a week, right? So if you're not, how are you sustaining something like that size of a facility?
Yeah, I agree.
You got to pay the rent on it. You got to pay the mortgage on it. How do you sustain that? And then the maintenance on it, and all 9 yards. We have to. The industry, in my opinion, is in the middle of a shift. It's been in the middle of a shift for about 5 years, and I think we're in the middle of it. We were in the beginning of it, about 4 years ago, and I think it'll land on its feet. But it's a tough industry.
Yeah, I think it's going to take all the manufacturers coming together and setting some rules, and because I fully understand. I agree with you. I've been on both sides. I've handed out deals like candy, and then I saw that the damage that done to the brand and everything else, and now I'm like, we need to reel this back in, and it's nothing wrong with people having a deal and all this type of stuff, but it shouldn't. You shouldn't be getting into RC and then 3 months later be worried about sponsors. You should be worried about like driving and doing whatever you want and trying as many cars as you want for that couple years, and then find out if you really want to do this. I agree. I see this business model getting ready to fall in on itself, and you see other companies are doing different things, and we're going to see a lot of these deals and stuff where I said it before. Are we going to get to the point where we pay you $50 and give you a kit to run a car? That's you're not going to be making any money whatsoever. So we definitely need to get a reel on that. But I think it starts with the manufacturers. I think it starts with just sitting on and saying, hey, we need to put some sort of rules and regulations, and everybody has to be involved. But there's always going to be that one company that says, nope, we got to get this. We got to do what we got to do. So it's a hard thing. Maybe we're going to see some of these, maybe some companies go away, because of this. So I don't know if I don't ever want to see any company go away, but we kind of, the industry has done this to itself. I get it. We adopted this business model. It's not unique to RC. It's in other sports, but it's also in other sports that are a lot bigger than RC. So there is money being made and on retail stuff and whatnot. So I hope that, like, a lot of people might be like, well, you're anti this, and I'm not anti sponsorship. I'm just like, we need to have some regulation on it. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it this way. If there's people out there that think that way, oh, you're anti-sponsorship. And I don't mean to pick on Mugen, but Mugen only makes race cars. Mayako only makes race cars. They don't make bashers.
Right.
So if the tracks are going away, where's your sales?
Exactly.
You only make race cars. You need a race track. There's no other way to get around it,
No,
So we got to figure out how to keep the racetracks going. There's no way. There's no way to maintain this business model if tracks are closing.
I agree. We need to focus on getting new people in. That's what I think. And I know I get tired of hearing that we can't do it. We can't do it. Yes, we can. Tell me how we can. Don't tell me why we can't.
Right.
Tell me how we can.
And getting new people in will help, but it'll only help if those new people are really buying. If people are doing the same thing and undercutting and going backdooring and the whole, then getting new people won't solve the problem. It'll, of course, more people always helps to an extent, but it won't keep that track open, Then we need that track because, getting that one new person in is good, but when you lose 10 of them because that track closed, that's bad.
I agree.
That's the bad part of it. So
I agree,
anyway,
100%. I know all about that, man. We have no tracks here in EDR. None.
Yeah.
So I just literally, I just started like a WhatsApp group with a couple of guys and we're tentatively planning to build one, So it's a long ways out, but it's a start because we have everything here. We have cars, we have fuel, we have tires, we have people that used to race, but we don't have a track. So RC can die. I've watched it die 3 times in this country.
Yeah.
So like
I understand that. So. And from a manufacturing standpoint, right? I totally understand from a manufacturing standpoint how you could sponsor a guy that is maybe not the fastest driver in the world, but very good at representing the brand. I totally get that. But, there's one of those guys in a million. There's not one in every street corner. And when guys at our track, and this is personal, when there's guys at our track that can't make the A main at a club night and they're sponsored by 15 different places, there's a problem. And that's not an exaggeration. There's many guys at our track that can't make the A at a club night that have a list of sponsorships longer than mine. And I've been in this business for a long, long time, right? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I think it's become all about how many sponsors and the deals that you have and not what you can actually do on the track.
Right.
We need to get back to that. Your talking on the track, not on your shirt. So
it's got to get more based upon race results than it does on social media and how much you can wave it around.
I agree. Both are important, but results tell the true story, to be honest.
Yes, that is true.
All right, man. I wish you all the luck with the Enats. This was a great chat with you. We probably waited too long to do this chat, so I appreciate you reaching out to me. I wish you guys all the best. I'll be following it, of course. And if you're on the fence of going to the Enats, I think you should go. We need you to go. We need you to go to the Enats. Don't worry about who you're going to be racing with.
And if there's any obstacle at all getting in your way to come to the Enats, just reach out to me privately, either on Facebook or publicly. I'm not ashamed. Privately, publicly, however you want. You can reach out to me on Facebook, on our website. You can send us an email, smoke signals, whatever you got. You can send them to me, and I will respond. We get inundated with a lot of stuff right now because the Enats are coming. There is a warm-up race called the Rumble in Rome on June 9th, June 9th, 10th, and 11th. There's a warm-up race. Come join us for that if you're feeling frisky. If you are bringing a camper, we can work out some arrangements. You can leave it there the whole time until the Nats. I know a couple of guys are actually doing that. They're leaving their camper there between races. We are super flexible. We'll do whatever it takes to earn your business, and you give us a call. We'll try to make it happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Mark. I wish you guys all the best at the Enats, and I hope this helps get some people that were on the fence there, and that would make me feel good that we done our job. Good luck with all of that. I love hearing people that are passionate about RC, been in it for quite some time, and I wish you and CRC all the best.
Thank you, Lefty. I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate your response to all of this and being able to get us on here in a quick time frame. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you, and have a good day, man.
You too.
All right. Thank you, Mark, for your time. Great chat with you, getting up on some of the history of the Northeast racing. Good luck to the Enats. Hopefully they get a good bit of entries. We need the Enats to get popular. Yeah. We do have a Worlds coming up for that there in 2025. Maybe this guy should try doing some e-buggy racing now that they have
I'm supposed to get, so the guy who's been helping me out since I was a kid, Jim Hughes, helps me out with, he built my Worlds cars, so that's the stuff I ran this weekend. Said he was going to build me an e-buggy. I don't know if he's still going to do that, but he was supposed to build me an e-buggy to go out there and try to, rummage up the backyard.
Well, I'll tell you what, that track that I was at in Portugal, the Marcelo's Buggy Arena, is excellent. It's lovely. It's super hard.
It looks badass. Like
it's glued, like super glue.
Perfect.
It's completely sealed. Like even the sides and the paint and everything is sealed and glued. Yeah. And they are going to be the host of the 2025 e-buggy routes. I think that's going to bring a lot of legitimacy to the e-buggy class as well. So,
bills.
Yeah. Morning Crime, what are you up to? It's summertime now. You're in full swing. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's California.
It is gloomy. It does not like.
Well, you race indoors mostly.
Yeah, so. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it is not sunny out here in California. It is gloomy as can be.
It's probably going to be hot.
So
in Chico this week.
Yeah, it will be hot in Chico. So good luck. It was hot in Arizona. I am glad to be back in sunny San Diego where the sun has not shined for a while. But yeah, it's definitely a lot nicer out here than it is in Arizona or probably Chico.
So what's your schedule looking like for the next next few months?
I'm going to try to hit the JCINS series. We have a race at SDRC, the Point Break Battle Royale. It's like a Reedy race format type of thing going on. It's coming up in a couple weeks, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. So getting ready for that. We have ROAR Nationals, which I'll be doing that as well. And
that track looks good.
Yeah, the track looks cool. I've heard some interesting things about the tire prep. I know Dustin's going, and he'll be there, figuring out the tires for the J Concepts team. So I haven't run on JC tires in a couple weeks, so it'll be nice to run on, tires and sauce.
There you go. Real quick before we go. Do you think they should just allow the sauce at the Worlds?
Honestly, it could be the most controlled sauce event ever because it's IFMAR. Like you would have to sauce in a room with the tires you get, and then the end. But I don't think that they're going to allow it. I don't even understand why they're letting us like race on slicks to begin with, but I guess it's what,
Well, what would the preferred tire for you if it wasn't slicks?
So slicks still, but I know at ROAR races for the stock classes, they don't allow slick, like full slicks, but they end up allowing it anyway. So I know that IFMAR's a little more strict, so I'm sure that this tire was the appropriate choice, I think, for the Worlds. Everything was pretty consistent. There wasn't anybody that was like, there were people that said that they didn't have grip, but there wasn't, it didn't look like everyone was struggling out there.
Okay. All right. Well, if you guys want to see any of the racing, you can go to Mod Live Media on YouTube or Facebook. He done all the coverage. Great job by Matt and his team. I believe they'll be doing the Worlds coverage too.
Yep.
So
he will be.
Right. So that's good. I'll be following him. He does a good job.
Yeah.
So that would be great. Thank you to those guys for bringing us the coverage there. Thank you for your time, dude, coming on. Hope get well. Don't get sick again.
I feel back to normal 100% after getting those 2 shots. So I know I can't continue to. Maybe that's what I got to do with the Worlds. Just get sick and just get a shot of penicillin.
Maybe you should start eating some vegetables or something.
I did. I had a vegetable. Ryan Prince's girlfriend made me eat a carrot and cauliflower and a cucumber, and I like the cucumbers. I did not like the carrot or the cauliflower.
Okay. No, I doesn't like vegetables. Like my son, he doesn't eat any vegetables whatsoever. But yeah, stay safe, get well. We need you there. Hopefully I'll be there. We'll see what happens if I get there or not. And thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it.
No
It's good chatting with you. I'm sure I'll send this podcast to your mentor so he can, critique you, of course. And good luck this summer. Have fun as well.
Thank you.
Good luck in everything that you're doing. We want to see you doing well. And let's get ready for the World. Let's get ready for the Nationals. Got a lot of 10-scale racing left to do. And I think that's it for us this week, man. I just want to say thank you to thank you to you once again for your time. Thank you to all of the people that support us, the NNRC squad around the world. Obviously, we can't do this without you guys. Thank you. If you are listening to this on the YouTube, if you ain't hit that sub, like, or dislike button and notification button, leave a comment. Also, maybe share this. If you are listening to us on audio platform, leave a review and share it as well. We need to continue to grow this and get the NNRC word out to people. Also, thank you to the YouTube members and the NNRC patrons. If you wish to join that, there's a link in the written description. And also, thank you to these awesome companies that support us. They are Invisible Speed, High Tech RC, Sunpadal USA, Sidewinder Fuel, Hot Race Tires, Mayako, Beach RC, Techno RC, Ignite Design RC. Don't forget, they got a sale on Racecraft USA, WRCE, House of RC. Shout out to our drivers, David Ronnefog, Jared Tebow, Robert Batty, Alexander Haberg, and our new Sir Matthew Gonzalez, our first Mexican driver. Happy about that. Thank you for all of those guys. Links for all of that in the written description of this podcast. Thank you guys for the support. See you at the Nationals. Hope you enjoy this. And myself and Mexico's national treasure, we're out for the day. You guys have a good one. Thank you for everything.
You guys
say goodbye. Adios.
Adios, amigos.
Viva Mexico.